Welcome back to our channel. Today we're delving into a topic that many couples face during these challenging times, and that's separation. Specifically, we'll be discussing when you might need a separation agreement and what it entails. Whether you're considering separation or already in the midst of one, understanding the importance of a separation agreement is crucial. So let's dive right in. First of all, what's a separation agreement? It's a legally binding document that outlines the terms that parties that are separating have agreed to, and it would generally cover all aspects of issues that arise as a result of the separation, including things like division of assets, parenting where there are children involved, child support, spousal support, and a lot of other related or unrelated details. It just provides clarity on each party's rights and responsibilities during this period, and it helps reduce misunderstanding and disputes. What you have to recognize is for a lot of parties going through a separation, you're trying to untangle several years of interdependency. A lot of the lines are blurred in terms of like finances, household duties, and just how your lives and your affairs are generally governed. Honestly, even things as basic as holidays and where specific holidays get spent and things like that are issues that are significant for some people. And when you have a separation agreement, you're able to outline exactly what happens and avoid conflict in going forward. As I mentioned earlier, you could talk about a lot of different aspects. So let's talk about just a few of the more common things that are involved in or that are included in a separation agreement. One is the equalization and the division of property. A separation agreement is crucial when you're dividing assets and debts that you've accumulated during the relationship, or even if you're walking away with assets that you felt you brought during the relationship and you accumulated alone. It's an opportunity for you to outline whether you get to keep it all, whether there's any division of it. But there's things that, vehicles, for example, you might feel that you bought a vehicle, for example, and it belongs to you and you only, but that's not necessarily the law. With equalization, you're supposed to divide the values of the vehicle, but if you agree that you're allowed to keep that free of any claims from the other party, it's important to articulate that, because if you don't, what could happen is you could have the other party come back several years from now to make a claim, and if you've organized your affairs thinking you own something fully, it might come as a surprise to you. So different things like investment properties, your debts, your mortgages, loans, credit card balances, even things like air miles and different rewards programs. How do you divide that? Once you agree on how you're going to deal with that, whether again you're dividing it or one person's keeping it solely, you articulate that in the agreement. And it's important, I keep talking about keeping it solely or in dividing, because in some cases people think, well, we've agreed we're not going to divide any of our properties, we don't need a separation agreement. That could not be further from the truth. The separation agreement will help you articulate that so that you can move on free and clear and not have to deal with another person making a claim even though they had previously said they weren't going to. If you have children, a separation agreement would help outline what the arrangements for decision-making responsibilities would be, what parenting schedules would look like, how much child support would be provided. It would outline, what you consider to be Section 7 expenses, and those are special and extraordinary expenses that are over and above child support. So it would outline that. It would outline how you think things should go for your children in their best interest. So if you're particular about religious education, for example, it can be outlined there. If you're particular about a child's name not being changed, all of those could be outlined in the separation agreement. Even in some cases, you may want to outline things like what happens in the event that one parent is deceased or the next. Because again, if you don't put it in an agreement, maybe your intention is that if something were to happen to one parent, that the children get taken care of by someone else that's totally not the other parent. But if it's not articulated, it could raise misunderstanding. Now, I do know that's a dark and extreme example, but even just on a day-to-day, Where do the children get picked up for example? You want to make that clear so everybody knows what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be, so that the children's best interests are protected, because that's the most important thing when it comes to children. Field trips, for example, who gets to go? How do you decide who goes? Even parent teacher interviews, you get the idea. Again, that's the importance of a separation agreement. You can get to articulate all of that. Spousal support in cases where one partner requires financial assistance after separation, and if they are eligible for spousal support, then the separation agreement can outline the terms of spousal support payment. It would include things like the amount of support, how long support would be paid for, and what would be the conditions for modifying or varying spousal support. And in some cases, you may even be able to include support termination provisions in there. Actually, in other cases as well, there might be no spousal support entitlement, there might be no spousal support payable. In those cases, it's also important for you to outline it in your separation agreement, because there's no limitation period really for spousal support, and you want to make sure that you don't leave loose ends and find yourself in a situation where you might be exposed to spousal support in the future that you in a scenario where you weren't expecting it. It's important that you put the support amount that may or may not be payable into the agreement. If there's even a release of support, then you put that in as well. Really, the idea is to make sure that everybody's legal rights and interests are protected, documenting agreed terms, and minimizing the risks or any legal challenges in the future. So having a separation agreement in place can also help expedite the divorce process and reduce conflict, right? Because when you're going to get a divorce, a court will want to know, for example, that proper arrangements have been made for the support of children. So yes, it is important. It's essential for people that are going through the separation process to get a separation agreement. It's almost always a yes, but it's even more important if you have any assets, if you have children, if there are complex financial circumstances involved, or if you're entitled to support and you want to make sure that your entitlement is clear and the amount and whatever you get for certainty of your financial planning as well. Or if there is going to even be a support release, it's important that that's there so that it's clear that you have been released from this obligation and can move forward. So if you're considering a separation, we highly recommend that you consult with a family law lawyer to ensure that your separation agreement addresses all relevant issues and meets all legal requirements. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more informative content. Take care, and we will see you in the next video.